Thor 4. Every way in which Mlojnir can be brought back. Thor Love Thunder is the most exciting film of the entire Phase 4 roster. It is based on one of the 3 pillars of the MCU, so it has got to be exhilarating. In fact, we're in double trouble this time as there won't be just one God of Thunder. We're also going to see Jane Foster wield Mlojnir and become the mighty Thor. But the question that still bothers everyone is about the return of MCU's favorite weapon, Mlojnir. We still don't know how it's going to be back in Thor 4. So let's look at a few popular theories and try to anticipate Mjolnir's return. First theory, Loki. Loki has been integral to Thor's franchise. After playing the villain in the first film, he has had a redemption arc in the next 2 Thor films. In fact, he saved Thor 3 times after the Avengers. Since we are supposed to follow Loki in his own series, we could see a different sort of redemption arc. Loki won't be saving Thor in this new timeline, so maybe Thor dies in it. And that's where Loki's redemption arc starts from. Asgard will be left defenseless after Thor, so maybe Loki goes on to defend his realm. That could unlock his worthiness. Many would say that it's doubtful whether his heroic self from Infinity War would be able to wield Mjolnir. But maybe he does wield it in his second timeline, and that's how he brings the hammer to the original timeline. Second theory, an alternate timeline. Just as we stated that Thor might die in an alternate timeline, maybe there's a timeline out there where Thor died and Jane proved worthy of his power. She wielded Mjolnir because she believed that the universe shouldn't be without a Thor. This Jane from an alternate timeline could somehow enter the main MCU timeline. Now, to solve the problem of 2 Janes, the Jane from the MCU timeline could have died of cancer, and the second Jane will unite with the love that she lost in her timeline. The same would happen for Thor in the OG MCU timeline. His union with his second Jane could ignite love and thunder. Third theory, Eitri. Back in Infinity War, when Eitri was forging the Stormbreaker, he also forged a second weapon that we missed out on. The molten Uru was poured into 2 different molds, so maybe one of those molds had a second Mjolnir. This would be the safest and the most sensible way to bring Mjolnir back. Honorable mention, Jane. In the War of the Realms storyline, Volstagg wielded the hammer of the ultimate Thor, but Mangog shattered it into pieces just like Hela did in Ragnarok. Here, Jane just approached the handle of the broken hammer and she was able to pick it up. The broken shards of the hammer magically transformed back into Mjolnir. This could be how Jane becomes worthy in Thor Love Thunder. Maybe during the 5-year time jump of Endgame, Thor collected the broken shards of Mjolnir. Those shards could still be in New Asgard. For some reason, Jane might revisit New Asgard and the hammer could transform just like it did in the books. Which of these theories do you think could come true? Tell us in the comments.